Hello everyone, Matt from Model Minutes here and welcome back to the workbench for another quick unboxing. Today I'm taking a look at the Mistercraft F-86F Sabre in 1/72 scale. So join me as I take a look inside the box and see what this one is like. So first things first, the only reason I really got this one was because someone told me that it's the worst kit they've ever built and I wanted to see how bad can it be. So starting off on the front here, you can see that we've got this artwork of the F-86. It's quite striking, does stand out, and it says that it's special paint, so I don't know what that means, but we might find out. And also that it's new, which if we know Mistercraft, it probably isn't. But up here, it says we've got basic painting schemes of 4 different countries, and then only for markets. So I'm guessing, depending on which location they sent it to, you've got different paint schemes. So I guess we'll have to see what's inside the box. On the thin edge, we've got the same information on the front. However, we do have some dimensions of the kit. So it's 159 millimeters in length. Wingspan is 157, and there are 58 parts included. And then we've got a drawing of the paint, or one of the paint schemes that are included. And it was made in the European community. On the other long edge, we've got some generic information. For the English, it says kit contains parts for one model, paint and glue are not included, and there are English instructions. And it would seem that this was potentially made in Poland. So the thin edges then, we have an item code of D260. Apparently it's from the 4 series, but there's also an item code of 042608. So 2 code numbers for it for some reason. They've given a skill level of 3, but I don't really know what the skill levels from Mistercraft mean. So if you know, let me know down in the comments. And then over here on the other edge, we've got some more paint schemes, which may or may not be included, I guess. So let's get the box open. There's nothing on the back, by the way. Box open. Let's have a look inside. And oh, hello. Things come in a bag, which is a start. So we'll look at that in a minute. We will look at the decals in a minute as well. And there's more decals. Oh, so we've got loads of decals. So instructions then. Front page, generic information. Generally, things get a little bit lost in translation. So if you want to read it, feel free. There usually is some issues. I've had them before where it's not even been the kit that is in the box where they've discussed this. It was like, I don't know, like a P-51 and it was talking about an Su-27. So yeah. Oh, more decals, loads of them. Right, so we have a sprue map on the very first page, which is nice to see. And then we progress on to our instructions. They don't follow the same format from Mistercraft. These look to me to be the original companies. So we know most of us know that Mistercraft Rebox kits from different companies. So this looks like it's an original scan from another company, which has then just been inserted into their own format of their instructions. And it would look to me that they are using Humbrol colors. So I mean, spoilers, if you can hazard a guess at who potentially used to use or has used Humbrol colors in the past. Yeah, our front landing gear seems to be a relatively good number of parts for that. Then we assemble our fuselage halves. Missed a step though, because they're not laid out logically, because number 2's down here for some reason. So cockpit details seem to be quite a few. There's a chair, headrest, a bathtub type thing, a control panel, control stick. Insert that inside your fuselage halves. We do have the option to have the air brakes open or closed. And there is our air intake and our jet nozzle. Then we add our tail surfaces, the front of the aircraft and the canopy. Moving on down, we have our upper and lower wing surfaces, which are joined together and then glued onto the aircraft. Then we can have our landing gear in the lowered position, but I imagine to put it in the raised position, it wouldn't be too hard. You just need to glue the landing gear covers in place. There are drop tanks included as well, and it seems to be a fairly simple step to install them. However, it is indicating here that if you are using your drop tanks, you need to install them after you've done your decaling, because there are decals that will get in the way otherwise. And then flip over onto the other side, and we have a lot of different paint schemes. We have numbered up to 11 by the looks of it. 11 different paint schemes. So I'll just have to go through and see which ones we've got, because it does say here only for the Italian market, only for the USA market, only for Portugal, only for Japan, only for UK. So I'm guessing, I mean, if you were to use logic, you'd say, okay, I've got the base ones, which will be this German one, Spanish, Greek, and then I will have a British one. So I should have 5 paint schemes in this kit. So I guess we'll see. It is cluttered. This is overly complicated. The painting callouts down the bottom here aren't particularly clear. And I'm sure as we go through, we'll find loads of different errors, because as with Mistercraft instructions, usually the paint color is wrong or the decal number is wrong. So, or they make reference to decals that don't even exist. So, yeah. So if I were to pick one, not sure which one I'd do. Could go for the British one with the interesting camouflage scheme. It's the only one there with a camouflage scheme. The rest of them are all in silver. So let's see what we do actually have. So we've got decal sheets. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So what have we got? What's this, Italian? Would that be Italian? Only for Italian market here. Yes, potentially. There's a dragon on it. I don't know where the dragon goes. Does that go on the Portuguese one? Is that what that is? Those go on the Portuguese one. Oh, this is so complicated. They're all over the place. Where does the dragon go? I thought the dragon would be fairly obvious. There, it goes on this one. So is that like another paint scheme for the Americans? Oh, it's just a lot going on here, isn't there? Right, so we have got like this American one. We've got Italian scheme. We've got American stripes. We've got a British roundels. We've got Norwegian ones as well. So we've got that one. It would seem we've got all of them. This is American, Greek, Spanish. And then we've got the German ones here. They're all slightly different quality. And then we've got the Japanese ones as well. So yeah, it seems like we've got all of them. It's like they haven't bothered to pick it for the market. They've just gone to chuck them all in. So that's good if you wanted loads of transfers. Granted, Mistercraft transfers are a little bit questionable. It is likely that they will disintegrate as soon as you use them. It seems like they've already started to disintegrate. There's a little bit come off on my thumb. Registration is a little bit questionable. These round circles aren't perfectly central. Printing is generally okay. I will probably use some micro scale decal film on whichever ones I decide to use, but I do have a lot of spare transfers now. The ones on the blue sheets do tend to look a little bit better than the ones on the white sheet, but then again they are a little washed out. The yellow seems to be a little bit faded or a little bit not as vibrant. Perhaps they're a bit thin. Maybe the white isn't going to look so bright either when it's on the model. These ones look a little bit better. The registration on these is a little bit better. The circles are a little bit more central. But yeah, it's interesting. We've got loads of transfers, which are of the normal Mistercraft quality, so I imagine they will disintegrate as soon as we use them. Printing is okay, but I will use some micro scale decal film to prevent that from happening. So let's put the instructions to one side and look at the plastic cuts, which unusually for Mistercraft they come in a bag, which is nice to see. And even we can see that the clear parts have come in their own separate bag, which is a little step up in the normal quality that we get. Usually they're just loose in the box floating around. Right, so clear parts then. These are generally okay. The plastic is quite clear. There is a bit of flash. Panel lines are raised, so you can mask that fairly easily. There are some scratches on the plastic, which are probably a result from the tooling. There is a little bit of flash in a few places, but generally they don't look too bad. And then we come on to our plastic parts. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 sprues of plastic parts. Now Mistercraft uses, I think it's like it's ever so slightly different plastic. The formula of it isn't that great. I always think of it as a bit chalky. It's like a chalky kind of plastic. It's relatively hard. It has a little bit of flex in it, but the details don't always come out too well in it. It's quite a cheap plastic. So on this sprue then, we have got one of our fuselage halves, drop tanks, the wheels. Wheels look generally quite nicely moulded. And some smaller details as well. The details, there are some recessed panels as well as raised. So it's not necessarily going to be a modern kit. And we turn it over. Oh, and there we go. Were your guesses correct? Did you think that this was a Hella kit? Because it is. It's a Hella kit. Details on this side, they look to be quite nice. This is a little bit crisper than normal mouldings from Mistercraft. There's not as much flash as there normally is. There is a little bit, but this is generally okay. On this one then, we've got our lower wing surface, very thin. Plastic's very thin. Bit of flex, but should be okay. A little bit of flash. Tail surfaces look alright. Yeah, generally, this is probably not the worst Mistercraft kit I've seen. But then again, I don't think they can take credit for a Hella tooling. So other sprue then, we've got our cockpit with a little bit of detail on the arms there. Landing gear doors, more drop tank parts, and air intake on the nose. And again, we've got a little bit of detail on the inside of our air brake. Generally not too bad, but a product of its time, which we'll go into in a little bit. And then we have our upper wing surfaces, generally raised details again, not too bad. Yeah, no, I don't think this looks too bad. I mean, obviously assembling this is going to be a different issue because we might have fit problems, but that is something that potentially is a Hella problem, not a Mistercraft problem. So let's wrap that up. 1, 2, 3, 4 grey, bluey grey plastic sprues of okay quality. There is a bit of flash. The detail is, it's a bit old. It's not exactly up to modern standards. The plastic is a little bit chalky. It's not my favourite. And then we've got some clear parts, which are acceptable. They're okay. They're not amazing, but they're okay. We have our instructions, which are, well, they're printed in colour, which is great. But they're cluttered. They're probably a little bit confusing and they're going to take a bit of time to sit down and go through. And then we have absolutely loads of decals. So depending on which version you're going to do, you're going to have loads of spares, but naturally the printing, whilst generally okay, the quality may suffer given my previous experiences. They may start to disintegrate upon application. So some microscale decal film or something similar would be recommended to actually get these usable. All of that came contained within, you know, it doesn't look too bad. It's quite a nice box. It's not too bad. You see it on the shelf and you think to yourself, that doesn't look too bad. I think the new is a bit misleading because the kit itself is physically not, well, the tooling isn't new. We know it's a Hella kit, so it's pre-Mistercraft at some point. And special paint, I guess it just means that they have lots of choice of the decals in there. Yeah, decals are probably the bonus. So we know it's a Hella tooling. And the tooling inside this box actually dates from 1979. So it's not terrible, but it's not going to be one of the best kits out there, especially given that I bought this in 2023 and it was on the shelf in the shop in 2023. Supposedly this particular boxing from Mistercraft was a 2018 version. So I guess this has been available for a few years now. But if you wanted to get this actual, or this tooling, these plastic parts, directly from Hella, from actual Hella, apparently 2023 they released this again as their own version. So maybe they'd be a bit higher quality if you get them directly from Hella rather than getting the Mistercraft version. But then again, you probably won't get the exact same decal schemes because like what we have like 11 decal schemes and they'll probably only put 1 or 2 in their box. So how much did I pay for that? And well, I paid, I think it was £15 in Hobbycraft here in the UK. Hobbycraft are a arts and crafts store. They are quite well known for putting a bit of a markup on prices. Someone said to me this was the worst kit they'd ever built. So I saw it in the shop and I thought, do you know what, I'll just get it. I'll just get it and I'll see if it is that bad. I don't think it's the worst Mistercraft kit I've ever seen, but we'll see how it goes when I come to build it. But £15 for this does seem a bit steep. I've seen online in other places you can get it cheaper, probably about half that, is probably going to be about what it's kind of worth with quality wise, what you're getting inside the box. But yeah, I think with that, it's probably time to wrap this one up. This is an older tooling which has some questionable mold quality, decals and instructions probably may need a little bit of patience with, but on the whole I think it should build up into a reasonable representation. But yeah, that remains to be seen if it is indeed the worst Mistercraft kit out there. Let me know what you thought of my review down in the comments and if my assessment was fair. As always, a quick shout out to my channel members and patrons for the extra support they give the channel. A massive thanks to these guys on screen. If you'd like to join them, take a look at the links in the description to find out how. Alternatively, there are other ways to help support the channel, and full information can be found under the video. The best way to support the channel for free though is by subscribing with notifications turned on so you never miss a modelling upload. And finally, the last thing to say is a massive thank you to you for watching this one, and I'll see you on the workbench again next time.